Welcome to Baddick Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edges of extinction. We'll share species research, information, and conservation proposals, and then we'll spend a chunk of the show opening and holding a space for contemplation and awe. We'll perform a kind of meditative sound bath, a soundscape of gentleness, quietude, reflection, and maybe mourning. There is a very low likelihood that any of these species will survive the 21st century. And so perhaps we might acknowledge their passage with a moment of our attention, recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. On today's show, we consider the Murray Birch. Betula murrayana, commonly known as the Murray Birch, is a critically endangered small tree native to middle North America, specifically southeastern Michigan and southern Ontario. The Murray Birch is considered a small tree that typically reaches heights of 20 to 50 feet with several slender upright trunks. Unlike many birches, the Murray's bark does not peel or flake. Instead, it has a smooth reddish-gray color, horizontal lenticels across the bark's surface. Lenticels are kind of like porous tissue of intercellular gaps, so like between cells, that appear on the bark as like elevated lines or patches. I think that you can imagine this from a birch tree. So there are these elevated lines or patches on the tree's trunk, and they allow gas to pass between the atmosphere and the tree's internal systems, a kind of breathing. The leaves of the Murray birch are notably larger and broader than other birches, with an ovate or egg shape, and they have serrated edges. Leaf coloration follows the typical seasonal patterns of birches, with vibrant greens in the springtime and summer that transition to a yellow in the autumn. The Murray birch is deciduous, meaning that it loses all of its leaves for part of the year, roughly leafless from November to April. In the dream, we see the birch at rest over the long winter months. In the dream, the thin, slanted sunlight of short days, the branches barren, long shadows across the drifts. In the dream, the forest sleeps, a sovereignty of graphite and white, a held breath long and low. And the unseen mechanics of life-making are slowed, but steady. And then the nights begin to get shorter. And then there is the idea of budding, and then the suggestion of stem, and then the wintergreen scent of growing and renewal. And then sudden, a rich green unfurling of sharp, small, leafy teardrops. And the lines of trunk and branches, yesterday so structural and well-defined, take on the obscuring garments of photosynthesis. Light drinking, quickening in the springtime sun, and the long-held breath released in chorus, a ballad of resurgence and fertility, a birch-tuned song in the dream. Like other birch species, the Murray birch is monoecious, meaning that both male and female sex organs occur on the same individual, just like located at different places on the plant. On birches, these present as catkins, which are thin, short, cylindrical flower clusters. The male catkins grow to about 1 inch in length and hang downward from the tree's branches, and the female catkins are slightly smaller and grow upright from the branch's ends. They are pollinated by the wind, and then the female flowers ripen in late summer, early autumn, containing hundreds of tiny seeds, which are also dispersed by the wind. The Murray birch is believed to have originated from a natural hybridization event between the purpose birch and the yellow birch, which resulted in a new species with distinctive characteristics. The Murray birch is native to the hardwood swamps of southern Michigan and southern Ontario. These are forested wetland whose canopy is typically dominated by silver and red maple and green and black ash trees. The water levels fluctuate in the wetlands over the course of the year, with standing water typically in winter and spring. Soil is loamy atop a clay base. And temperatures range from lows in the teens in the winter to highs in the 80s in the summer. Average rainfall is roughly 37 inches per year. The Murray birch shares its hardwood swamp with beaver, wood fern, hawk, salamander, goldenrod, sycamore, turtle, elderberry, offspray, cardinal flower, and of course many others. Threats to the Murray birch include, quite simply, its very small population size and its presence in an already overdeveloped region. And of course, it faces the additional threat of a warming ecosystem due to human-induced climate change. As for conservation, the Holden Arboretum and the Matai Botanical Gardens, which are both in southeastern Michigan, have successfully propagated the Murray birch from seed and from cutting. But no other additional conservation actions are currently in place. The Murray birch was placed on the critically endangered red list in 2013, and their population is currently in decline. It's estimated that there are less than 25 Murray birch trees left in the wild, and there may only be one. Research for today's show was compiled from the IUCN, the Canadian Journal of Botany, the Michigan National Features Inventory at Michigan State University, and from Wikipedia. In a moment, I would like to perform some music in hopes of opening a space to be in contemplation of the other lives with whom we share our earth. But first I want to clarify something. This music is not for the Murray birch. The Murray birch is not a vessel from which I extract meaning or desire to put meaning upon. The Murray birch is a living being who in so many ways is just frankly unknowable to me. And so I instead want this music to express my human awe at the biodiversity of our planet, about the strangeness and beauty of plants. And I want it to be a means to consider my own relationship to other life, in particular as that life may near extinction. And so we will sit in the space of sound, awe, contemplation, and reflection. And I warmly invite you to join me in that. honor the resilient and perhaps singular life force of the Murray Birch. Though I know not its language, I endeavor to hold its name soft on my tongue. I am so grateful to have shared time on our small bright planet with this being. And I lament the ways in which my species have harmed and diminished this species. And so in the name of the Murray Birch, I pledge to reduce my consumption, to reduce my carbon footprint, and to curb my wastefulness. I pledge to address the costs of my actions and inactions, and I pledge to name and resist the harm of any kin or their habitat by corporations and governments. I pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Bada Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin.